The air tastes like success and expensive perfume. It burns in my lungs, thick with the clatter of champagne flutes and the low murmur of important voices. My dress is too tight, the fabric cool against my skin, a beautiful cage. He stands on the small stage, spotlight bright, teeth flashing in a smile I used to adore. He's holding a microphone, the hum of the PA system a low thrum beneath the music. Everyone is looking at him, their faces upturned, expectant. This is his night. The night he becomes managing director. The night everything changes. I beam up at him from the edge of the crowd, my heart swelling with a pride that feels heavy, unwieldy. Years of late nights, sacrificed weekends, pooled resources, believing in him, building him up. It all led to this platform, this moment. He clears his throat, taps the mic. A hush falls, a ripple starting from the front and spreading through the room. His eyes scan the faces, landing on mine for a split second, a quick, almost dismissive flick away. My smile falters, a tiny crack in the facade. It's just nerves, I tell myself. His big moment. He starts talking, his voice amplified, smooth, confident. He thanks the board, the investors, the team. Standard corporate platitudes, polished and professional. I watch his hands, how he gestures, the slight tilt of his head. Familiar movements. Beloved movements. My body is a live wire, buzzing with anticipation for him to mention me, his partner, his wife, the other half of this journey. There was supposed to be a moment, a shared glance, a quiet acknowledgement of us. Our story. He pauses, takes a sip of water, looks out at the crowd again. His expression shifts, something hardens around his mouth, his eyes become distant, almost cold. The air cools with him. The murmur doesn't return. The silence deepens, expectant, but now tinged with uncertainty. He leans back into the microphone, his voice dropping slightly, becoming intimate, yet carrying to every corner of the room. And finally, he says, and my breath catches. Here it is. The part about us.
About me.
My hand instinctively reaches for his empty glass on the nearby table, fingers tracing the condensation. There's something personal I need to share tonight, he continues, his gaze sweeping over the stunned faces, deliberately avoiding mine. A knot forms in my stomach, tight and sharp. This isn't how we discussed it. This isn't the script. Many of you know my wife, Eleanor. My name hangs in the air, suddenly feeling foreign, disconnected from me. People turn their heads, searching for me in the crowd. I stand frozen, a deer caught in headlights, the spotlight not on me, but the weight of its absence is heavier than any beam. Eleanor and I, he says, and he finally looks at me, his eyes flat, devoid of warmth, of recognition, have decided to separate. The words land like stones in still water, sending shockwaves through the room. My name, his words, separation. They don't belong together. They are pieces from a different puzzle, a different life. My life shatters around me, the pieces invisible but sharp, cutting at my skin. The clatter of glasses, the hum of the PA, the distant music, it all fades, replaced by a roaring in my ears. Separate? We decided? When did we decide? I stand there, rooted to the spot, the expensive perfume now smelling like betrayal, the success like ash. He is still talking, his voice a low drone beneath the chaos in my head, something about mutual respect, different paths, future endeavors.
Lies.
Smooth, effortless lies poured into the ears of our friends, our colleagues, the people who had dinner at our table, who saw us build this life brick by brick. He's dismantling it publicly, casually, with the same ease he thanks the board. My vision blurs. The lights on the stage bleed into hazy halos. The faces in the crowd are shocked, some sympathetic, some morbidly curious. I see pity flicker in the eyes of people who congratulated me just moments ago. Pity is a bitter drink. Humiliation floods my system, a poison spreading through my veins. This can't be happening. Not here.
Not now.
Not like this. He's ending us, dissolving 15 years of history, in front of everyone, as a footnote to his triumph. His promotion. His new life. A life he is clearly planning to live without me. The ground beneath me feels like it's dissolving. All I want is to disappear, to sink through the floor, to be anywhere but this room, under these lights, wearing this too-tight dress, feeling my world crumble. This is the lowest I have ever felt, exposed and gutted for public consumption. He finishes his little speech, a final platitude about embracing the future. The future he just severed me from. A smattering of hesitant applause follows, awkward, uncertain.
They don't know how to react.
Neither do I. I just know I have to leave.
Now.
Before the tears come, before I break completely. My legs feel heavy, unresponsive. Every eye is on me, waiting to see how I react. Waiting for the show. The thought of their gaze, their pity, their gossip, it's a physical weight pressing down on me. I take a shaky breath, ready to turn, to stumble out, to find a dark corner of the world to crawl into and bleed. If you've ever felt blindsided, like the ground just disappeared beneath your feet, tell me in the comments. I read all of them. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps me more than you know. Our life before this night feels distant now, like a movie I watched a long time ago starring different people. We were good together, weren't we? We met young, fresh out of university, both hungry, both ambitious. He had the vision, the spark, the drive. I had the pragmatism, the organizational skills, the quiet determination to make things happen. We were the perfect team, a well-oiled machine built on late nights fueled by cheap coffee and shared dreams whispered across a cluttered desk. We built this company from the ground up, starting in a cramped garage, the air thick with the smell of circuits and stale pizza. I handled the operations, the finances, the messy, unglamorous back-end stuff. He was the face, the ideas man, the one charming the investors, landing the big deals.
It was a partnership.
50-50, in spirit if not always on paper. We signed the incorporation papers together, celebrated milestones in dingy bars, painted the office walls ourselves. I believed in him with every fiber of my being. His success was our success. His dream was our dream. We talked about the future constantly, the bigger office, the growing team, the house by the water, the quiet retirement somewhere warm. Our narrative was intertwined, inseparable. Or so I thought. Somewhere along the way, things shifted. Subtly, like the slow creep of ivy up a wall. The late nights he spent at the office weren't always spent with me. The conversations became more about his challenges, his triumphs, his vision. I was still there, managing the budget, streamlining processes, being the silent engine that kept the machine running, but my contributions started feeling less acknowledged, less important. I chalked it up to the pressure, the growth. He was under immense stress, I reasoned. He needed my support, not my demands for recognition. My desire was simple, for us to build a secure future together. To see the dream we shared come to fruition. I wanted stability, a life where we weren't always fighting fires, a chance to breathe and enjoy the fruits of our labor. His desire seemed to evolve into something else entirely, a relentless pursuit of power, a need for more, always more. The goal wasn't the secure future anymore, it was the ascent itself. Climbing higher, no matter the cost. He started changing too. Little things at first. Forgetting anniversaries. Dismissing my opinions with a wave of his hand. Talking about our shared struggles as if they were solely his burden. He became more guarded, less open. The easy intimacy we once shared began to fray, replaced by a polite distance. We were living parallel lives under the same roof, occasionally intersecting for dinner or a company event, but the connection, the deep knowing of each other, was fading. I tried to talk to him, to bridge the gap. My attempts were met with deflection, irritation, or weary sighs about how stressed he was. It was easier to just exist in the quiet discomfort than to constantly push against a wall he kept building between us. When the managing director position became available, it consumed him. He worked around the clock, networking, strategizing, charming everyone from the mailroom clerk to the chairman of the board. I supported him as always. I proofread his proposals, helped him prepare for interviews, listened to his anxieties, and celebrated his small victories along the way. I saw how much he wanted this, how much he believed it was his destiny. And I believed in him, too. I genuinely thought this promotion, this culmination of years of work, would bring us closer, would validate our journey together, would finally provide the stability he claimed to be working towards. I imagined us celebrating, truly celebrating, looking back at where we came from and forward to a shared future. I dressed carefully tonight, picked out the perfect gift, practiced my proud wife's smile in the mirror. I walked into this room tonight believing I was walking into the next chapter of our life. The announcement. Have decided to separate. The words echo in the stunned silence of the ballroom. It's not just a personal statement, it's a strategic move. Publicly declaring our separation absolves him of me, of our shared history, of any claim I might have to his future, his success, this success. He's cutting me loose, neatly and efficiently, using his promotion party as the platform. It's brutal in its calculation, in its utter lack of empathy. The air feels thin, hard to breathe. My lungs ache. I see faces in the crowd. Sarah from marketing, her hand covering her mouth. Mark from development, looking genuinely distressed. Old Mr. Henderson from the board, his expression unreadable behind his thick glasses. They all knew us. They saw us together for years. They probably thought we were solid. The shock on their faces mirrors the shock inside me, but theirs is fleeting curiosity. Mine is a seismic event. The urge to flee is overwhelming. Every instinct screams at me to turn and run, to escape this public dissection of my life. My feet shift, a small, almost imperceptible movement towards the exit. But then, something stops me. It's not pride, not really.
It's colder than that.
It's a sudden, sharp anger, a freezing wave that washes over the humiliation. He's not just leaving me, he's discarding me. In front of everyone. He's using our ending as a stepping stone for his beginning. He's painting me as a past chapter he's bravely closing to embrace his glorious future. He gets to be the hero of his story, the one making the tough but necessary choices. And I get to be the discarded wife, the symbol of the life he's leaving behind.
No.
Not like this. The anger is a cold, hard stone in my gut. It's cleaner than the pain, more focused than the humiliation. It gives me strength. I stand taller, pulling the too-tight dress closer, feeling the smooth, cool fabric. I look at him on the stage. He's talking to someone now, probably the chairman, a small, self-satisfied smile playing on his lips. He thinks he's handled it. He thinks he's clean. He thinks he's free. He has no idea. A memory flashes through my mind, sharp and vivid. A conversation months ago, late at night. Him, stressed about potential threats to the company, about board politics, about retaining control. Me, suggesting he look into diversifying his holdings, maybe acquiring shares from some of the smaller, less engaged shareholders. A subtle strategy to consolidate power, to build a buffer against potential challenges. He dismissed it at the time, focused on the promotion. But the idea had lodged in my brain. It felt like a safety net, a way to protect our shared future, our investment of a lifetime. After that conversation, I started quietly looking into it. Not through company channels, but discreetly. I used my own network, my own resources, funds I had accumulated over the years from smart investments I'd made separate from the company, money he barely registered I had. I identified shareholders who might be willing to sell, approached them carefully, negotiated quietly. It wasn't a grand plan at first, just a cautious move to secure my own position, to ensure I wasn't completely reliant on his trajectory, on a company structure where my role, while crucial, wasn't officially recognized at the highest level. It was a quiet act of self-preservation, a hedge against an uncertain future I felt, intuitively, might be coming. It accelerated in the last few months, as the distance between us grew, as his ambition became a palpable barrier. The more he withdrew, the more I pushed forward with my quiet acquisition. It became less about financial security and more about leverage. About ensuring that if the partnership dissolved, I wouldn't be left with nothing. I never told him. Why would I? He was too consumed with his own ascent. He wouldn't have understood. Or worse, he would have found a way to undermine it. I kept it quiet. Very quiet. Paper trails were cleaner than emotions. Transactions were simpler than conversations. Share certificates were more reliable than promises. My breath is steadier now. The roaring in my ears subsides, replaced by a focused calm. He thinks he's cut me out. He thinks he's taken everything, our life, our history, my dignity in this room. But he hasn't taken everything. He overlooked something crucial.
Me.
He stopped seeing me as a partner, as an equal player years ago. He started seeing me as part of the furniture, a comfortable fixture in the background of his increasingly important life. He forgot that the furniture can be rearranged, or replaced, or that it might have hidden compartments he never knew about. The tightness in my chest isn't fear anymore. It's anticipation. I look around the room. The faces are still turned towards the stage, where he is basking in the glow of his achievement, perhaps already fielding sympathetic murmurs about his difficult personal news. He has the microphone.
He has the platform.
He has the narrative. Not for long. My eyes lock onto the microphone stand near the edge of the stage, temporarily abandoned. The path there is clear, a few yards through the lingering groups of guests. My heart beats faster, a drum building to a crescendo. This isn't the graceful exit I planned when he dropped his bombshell. This isn't the quiet retreat into sorrow and anonymity. This is something else entirely. This is reclamation. My legs feel lighter now. I take a step, then another. My focus narrows. The crowd parts slightly as I move, their gazes following me, shifting from confusion to curiosity as I don't head for the door, but towards the stage. There are whispers, questions in their eyes. What is she doing? Is she going to make a scene? A small, cold smile touches my lips. Oh, I'm going to make a scene. He sees me approaching the stage from the corner of his eye. His conversation with the chairman trails off. His smug expression falters, replaced by annoyance. He probably thinks I'm coming up to beg, to cry, to demand an explanation he isn't prepared to give in public. Let him think that. His underestimation has always been his weakness. I reach the edge of the stage, my hand gripping the cool metal of the microphone stand. His eyes meet mine, and for the first time tonight, I see a flicker of something other than dismissal. It might be confusion. It might be irritation. But it's not pity. Good. I step onto the stage, the low hum of the PA system beneath my feet. The lights are brighter up here, hotter. I ignore him, walking towards the center, towards the abandoned microphone on its stand. The room is silent again, every eye riveted on me. The air is thick with anticipation. This is it.
The point of no return.
He clears his throat, his voice tight. Eleanor, what are you doing? I ignore him again. I reach the microphone, my hand closing around the cool metal. It feels heavier than I expected. I pull it from the stand, the cord snaking slightly. I hold it, feeling the weight, the power it represents in this room, in this moment. I turn to face the crowd, the faces blurred in the brightness, but I feel their collective gaze like a physical force. I see my reflection in the dark windows behind the stage, a woman in a too-tight dress, holding a microphone, standing alone under the spotlight. My voice, when I speak, is clear and steady. It doesn't shake. It doesn't crack. It carries effortlessly through the room, amplified by the system. Yes, I say, acknowledging his earlier announcement, the word hanging in the air like a challenge. My husband, James, has just announced our separation. I pause, letting the weight of that sink in again for the benefit of anyone who might have missed it while gawking at me. He stirs beside me, uneasy. Good. It's true that our personal paths are diverging. I continue, using his corporate speak, turning it back on him. But our professional paths? Those are about to become very interesting indeed. I turn my head slowly to look at him. He's standing frozen a few feet away, his face pale, his eyes wide. He has no idea where this is going. The confusion in his eyes is delicious. You see, I say, my voice dropping slightly, becoming confidential, conspiratorial, drawing the entire room closer. James wasn't the only one making significant moves recently. I pause, letting the suspense build, savoring the moment. The absolute silence in the room is deafening. The only sound is my own breathing, amplified. While James was busy climbing the corporate ladder, I state, my gaze sweeping across the stunned faces in the audience, then back to him. I was busy acquiring the ladder itself. His mouth opened slightly, a silent O of disbelief. I take a deep breath, the microphone cool against my lips. This is for every late night, every sacrifice, every dismissal, every lie. This is for being unseen, unheard, and finally discarded. As of 3 p.m. today, I announce, the words ringing with finality, with absolute authority, I officially finalize the acquisition of a controlling interest in this company. A collective gasp sweeps through the room. It's loud, visceral. Faces turn from me to him, back to me. Whispers erupt, a sudden explosion of disbelief and shock. What? He sputters, finally finding his voice, his face contorted in disbelief and rage. That's impossible. You can't. Oh, I can, James. I interrupt him, my voice remaining calm, cutting through his frantic outburst.
I have.
All the necessary paperwork was filed this afternoon. The shares acquired represent 51% of the total outstanding stock. I watch him, watching the color drain from his face, watching his carefully constructed world implode in real time. He looks like he might physically collapse. The chairman beside him looks equally stunned, fumbling with his glasses, staring at me as if I've sprouted a second head. Meaning, I continue, turning back to the stunned audience, letting the full weight of the information settle, that as of now, I am the majority shareholder. The silence returns, heavier this time, charged with the absolute reversal of power. Everyone is staring, wide-eyed, mouths agape. The man who moments ago stood here triumphant, announcing the dissolution of his old life to step into a glorious new one, is now staring at the woman he tried to discard, who just revealed she owns his entire future. And while I commend James on his ambition, I say, a hint of dry humor finally entering my voice, a sharp edge cutting through the formality, and his successful bid for managing director, I pause, letting the irony hang in the air. He got the job. He just didn't realize who his new boss would be. Given the recent developments, I continue, my gaze fixed on him, unwavering, and a clear difference in our respective visions for the future of this company. I see the dawning horror in his eyes as he understands what's coming next. I think it's best if we also separate professionally. I hold his gaze for a long moment, letting him see the cold, quiet determination there. The score is settled. The debt is paid. Therefore, I announce, turning back to the microphone, my voice ringing with the authority of my new position, I will be appointing an interim managing director, effective immediately, while the board convenes to appoint a permanent replacement. I look directly at the chairman, giving him a small, firm nod. He seems to snap out of his shock, nodding back automatically, his corporate reflexes kicking in. James, I say, turning back to him, my voice now businesslike, formal. You will, of course, be compensated for your transition. But your services will no longer be required. His face is a mask of disbelief, betrayal, and pure, unadulterated fury. He opens his mouth to speak, but no sound comes out. The man who had all the words moments ago is struck dumb. I don't wait for a response. There's nothing more to say to him. I've said it all. I step away from the microphone, placing it back on the stand with deliberate care. The room is a tableau of stunned faces, frozen in place. The air is thick with the aftermath of the explosion. I've detonated his carefully planned future, his public narrative, his sense of control. He wanted a separation? He got one. On my terms. I look at him one last time. He's being approached by the chairman and a few other board members, their faces grim. They are the past. I am the future. I walk off the stage, Not towards the exit, but towards the small bar in the corner. The path is still clear, but now people aren't looking through me or at me with pity. They're looking with awe, with shock, with a sudden, sharp recalculation of the power dynamics in the room. They step aside for me. Whispers follow my path, but they are different now. Not pitying, but buzzing with the seismic shift they just witnessed. I reach the bar. The bartender, a young man I've seen at other company events, is staring at me, his eyes wide. "Champagne," I say, my voice a little hoarse now, the adrenaline starting to ebb, leaving behind a vast emptiness.
"The best you have."
He nods silently, fumbling with the bottle. He pops the cork with a subdued thud. The fizz sounds loud in the quiet room. He pours a glass, his hand shaking slightly.
He hands it to me.
I take a sip. It's cold, effervescent. It tastes like victory. But victory, it turns out, has a metallic, slightly bitter aftertaste. The room is starting to buzz again, conversations erupting in hushed, excited tones. People are looking at me, some with respect, some with fear, some with naked opportunism. The landscape has changed completely. I stand by the bar, a glass of champagne in my hand, the murmur of the party a distant, unreal sound. I should feel triumphant. I should feel exhilarated. I don't. I feel hollowed out. The intense surge of adrenaline that carried me through the confrontation is draining away, leaving behind a profound weariness. He's gone from the stage now. I don't know where they took him. I don't care. He is no longer my concern. This company is. My future is. But the future I just secured doesn't feel like the one I wanted. It's not the future built together, hand in hand, sharing the burden and the triumph. It's a future built on wreckage, on betrayal, on a foundation of ash. My hand trembles slightly as I raise the glass again. The champagne is cold, too cold. It doesn't fill the emptiness inside me. The satisfaction of blindsiding him, of turning his cruelty back on him tenfold, is immense, a pure, clean satisfaction that washes away the humiliation. But it's not joy. It's not happiness. It's a fierce, cold justice. I look around the room again. These are the people I will now lead. The people who just saw the most brutal, public moment of my life unfold. They saw the discarding, and they saw the reclamation. They saw the old power structure crumble and a new one rise from its ruins. They know who I am now. Not just his wife, not just the woman behind the scenes, but the woman who took everything back when everything was being taken. It's a lonely height to stand on. The too-tight dress feels even more constricting now, a symbol of the cage I was in, the cage he tried to lock me out of, the cage I just blew apart to step into an even larger, more solitary enclosure. I finish the champagne. Set the glass down. The party is still going on around me, but it feels different. The air is no longer thick with his success, but with my unexpected, complicated victory. The music sounds hollow. The laughter feels strained. I don't belong here anymore. Not in the way I did hours ago.
My role has changed.
My relationships in this room have changed. Everything has changed. I turn and walk towards the main exit. This time, no one questions me. They simply part, watching me go, a silent acknowledgement of the power I now hold. The whispers follow me, fading as I reach the doors. I push them open, stepping out of the bright, charged air of the ballroom and into the cool, quiet night. The city lights shimmer in the distance. The air is crisp, clean. It doesn't smell like success or perfume anymore. It smells like freedom. Cold, sharp, solitary freedom. I take a deep breath, filling my lungs. It's not the future I planned. It's not the life I built. But it's mine. And no one can take it from me. Not anymore. If you've ever had to fight for what's yours, when it felt like everything was being taken, maybe you understand this feeling. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is. Thanks for being here. Subscribing helps bring more of these stories to life.